The recent shooting of unarmed military personnel in Chattanooga, Tennessee gave credence to the threats of terrorists targeting military installations here at home on U.S. soil. Monica, are our servicemen and servicewomen sitting ducks? And what do you think about arming the military?
Well, I think arming the military, there's nothing wrong with them because, first of all, they're trained.
There's nothing wrong with doing that?
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to some degree, and depending where they're at, for them to be armed. I think if they're in recruiting stations and there is a threat of that, why not have their weapon on them? Police officers run around with their weapons on. They know how to use them. They're trained in them. So we're not handing weapons to somebody who doesn't know how to do, who would use them unsafely or whatnot. I don't think it's a bad idea at all, and I know that probably surprises you.
So, Art, I have a question for you. You're an ex-military guy.
Yep.
Posse Comitatus.
Yeah.
How does arming the military on the home soil, how is that impacted, or is it impacted potentially in your mind by that? Number one, what is Posse Comitatus, and number two?
Well, Posse Comitatus says that the military on our native soil will not be armed as a means of causing insurrection. Okay, and I have no problems whatsoever with in the recruiting stations, giving the head recruiter, a weapon to secure the area, and that shouldn't violate Posse Comitatus whatsoever. Now, I don't want to give him a 105 millimeter howitzer or tactical nuclear weapons or anything like that.
A couple of hand grenades, a couple of howitzers.
But this new what are they using? Walthers now. It used to be Colt 45s, but whatever they're using as the standard sidearm. I don't see anything in the world wrong with having one weapon in any one of these outlying, whether it's a reserve center, whether it's a National Guard center, whether it's a recruiting station. I see nothing in the world wrong with that, and I don't believe that violates the intent of Posse Comitatus.
So, Tom, the question to you, though, is that in this particular case, this particular attacker attacked from outside of the building. There was no forewarning that he was going to attack. Even if this group had been, even if these military people had been armed, would it have changed the outcome?
Perhaps yes, perhaps no. There is one, expert general, General Honoré, who is from Louisiana, who organized the Katrina, efforts, cleanup efforts, was in Iraq, and has made a very strong point that arming soldiers is for the field. Even in Iraq, when they went back to their bases, they were all put away. And he thinks it's very dangerous to take this precedent and start arming them in recruiting centers. It doesn't help for recruitment to come that way knowing this. And at the same time, we're not really sure, we have to be careful, the motivation of this particular shooter. I mean, if we take, this kind of logic, well, maybe every movie theater in America, should have armed guards at it, or vigilantes come stand at the movie theater entrance. I don't know. There's already been a problem with that. Some guy in Ohio who was a vigilante discharged his gun, accidentally. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. But I think, we have to be careful about this.
But I think
I can see some, I'm not totally saying yes, no, but we do have people who are in the Army who say this is not a good idea. They would not do this.
I think it depends who you would stick in there. If you have recruiters in there that have been in a war zone and might possibly be suffering from, the post-traumatic syndrome, stress syndrome.
It could be a bad thing.
Then that would be a bad thing because something might set them off.
It's distinctly possible.
But if you have people in there that haven't been, and
well,
having the one weapon may be a good thing.
This is the first instance of this happening? And we don't even know the nature of the shooter yet, which is very questionable that there was any kind of plotted event given the guy's recent, mental history and what we know. And I don't think we know enough yet, really, to make huge decision on the basis of one incident. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, I would agree with the movie theaters because those are usually guys that have something wrong with them. They're mentally
Guys,
unstable.
no girls going in there.
I don't think there have been any
It's
girls.
been mostly
all been
white
guys.
males.
Mostly been males.
None of the girls are going in there with any kind of problems. Well, no, I'm just.
So our,
School
Give us a
shootings.
weapon.
Let me offer a counter proposal. I mean, there are military in the United States on our soil that are armed on a daily basis.
Yes, well, that's a whole other story.
Absolutely. So let's put a
is
military
different.
policeman or whatever the Navy's equivalent. Let's put a military policeman on the organizational table for every one of these outlying areas.
Well, it's a
And,
law enforcement
That's not bad.
issue.
Well,
I
that's
think,
not
and
bad.
So-
that's where I think we have to be careful bleeding into just simply the military aspect, because again, it's partly, if this isn't a shopping center, I'm Doug Mullendore, sheriff of the county, and it's in Boonesboro or something, we happen to have a recruiting station there. Well, I don't know if, you know, it's my turf to defend that building. And before we just take away local control, I think it's really important to let the people on the site find out what really happened, how we can better do our job for law
So you're
enforcement.
worried that martial law would come into play
Oh, God.
somehow?
Well, it's just simply there's
I
not
mean, that might
necessarily
be
a
a
reason to
danger.
have sort of a
Well,
federal
you can
response to this.
You
Yeah.
can
Just
argue
wanted, you know.
any side of this and make some very valid statements.
think
I
so.
mean, in Boonesboro, who's guarding the recruiting station in Boonesboro?
If there were one, yeah.
There's local police would be guarding it.
Yes.
I mean, so there you are.
But you know, they're very sensitive. You know, if you read the books or novels about the FBI, the local police, the military police, they're always jealous of each other's turf.
Sure.
And they take it as a personal affront. I'm sure there's people in Chattanooga, Tennessee, who do not like the suggestion that we are in every different jurisdiction throughout the United States.
Sure.
Local police would not want that.
I guess it depends on, is a recruiting station on its own turf? Or does it fall under where it's sitting? Is the land it's on determining what it is, or is it military turf right there in that square footage? Just like when you go overseas, military bases are American soil. So if your
Well,
child's
I wanna-
born on
Yeah,
the
they have
base,
guards
then
at
they're an
American
We've
American.
got
but
and
they
so,
we've
don't-
got
yeah.
just a couple of minutes
So
left.
it's-
I
I
want to
don't
I want to
know.
jump
Jim,
onto
yeah.
another subtopic here of this discussion, and that is the definition of hero. We've heard that these people that were shot down are heroes. We heard the discussion with Donald Trump and Senator McCain that he said McCain is not a hero because he was captured. We know that in Fort Hood there was a big question of whether they were going to be able to get the Purple Heart or that type of thing. Same question here. What makes a hero? Art, from your perspective, are these people that got shot, are they eligible for Purple Heart, in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely, in my opinion, for the Purple Heart, no doubt about that. Now, I will be quite clear about one thing. From one perspective, anyone that joins the military and serves honorably could be considered to be a hero, but that's not. That's more or less a bastardization of the word,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I mean,
agree
they're
with you.
good, honorable patriots that served their time and did well and all like that, or played by the rules. I'm not sure they're heroes any more than to say Ray Lewis, the football great, was a warrior. I mean, this is just bastardization of the English language.
I think a hero is somebody who does something, is willing to do something extraordinary under circumstances that are beyond his control and steps up. Like the people running into the fallen buildings in New York City on September 11th.
Sure.
Those people were heroes. Those firefighters that went in there were heroes. But ordinary people that rescued other people or stood by and comforted the child who just lost a parent were also heroes. So heroes aren't necessarily just people you put on a uniform, you automatically become a hero. You
But
could
I'd
be
give
a
them
very
the Purple
rotten
Heart.
person.
I mean, I agree
The
with you 100%.
purple, yeah, I know, but
I'd
I
give
agree
them the
with you
Purple
on
Heart.
the
That's exactly right.
definition of
Yeah,
hero
that
is
fits, yeah.
so much broader. It's just not an automatic
And
thing
a
that
couple
comes
of
with
them
the
tried
uniform.
to defend the others.
Sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
regardless of your definition of the term hero, I can say one thing with certainty, and that is the fact that they all stood up. Everyone that joined the military stood up and said, "This country is going to be safe, and it's going
Sure.
to be safe because of me."
Sure.
And that, in my mind, makes them minimally a patriot, if not a hero,
Well,
just for showing
I'd
up.
agree with the
definitely
word
patriot.
But I'm going to
patriot.
take the last word on that. Coming up, we'll find out what our panelists think of sanctuary cities. Stay tuned. We'll be back.